I remember he actually wrote me an email that said, I learned a lot about myself from watching this. So I think that was probably the biggest shocker really for me, that he hasn't actually believed this entire time that he's that successful and influential. It's like, dude, just look around, dude. You know, he has podcast episodes now on historical record.
Welcome to Bitch Talk. I'm your host, Erin.
And I'm co-host Ange, aka Captain Party.
And for more than 11 years, the show has celebrated underrepresented voices in pop culture and beyond.
But not in the snore kind of way, which is why our listeners and followers have graciously voted us Best of the Bay, Best Podcast on 48 Hills for 3 years in a row. Three-peat, bitches.
If you like what you hear, follow us on Instagram and check out our website, Bitch Talk Podcast, and rate us wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're begging you to judge us. When does that ever happen? Oh, you're not going to say anything?
What'd I say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, on with the show. Clink.
Yeah, I'm super looking forward to this. I just noticed on your Instagram that you had a Bridget Everett post, and I'm a big Bridget Everett fan. That's her first magazine cover, which I did for the Village Voice in in 2014.
Well, we just got to see her show when she came to San Francisco, and it was the best show I've seen. Best show of the year. We go to a lot of shows.
Yeah.
It was incredible. There's nothing like it.
She's incredible.
Oh my gosh. The best. And it took me a second. Are we recording? Is this part of it?
No, I mean, we don't have to. No, but it's fine. Look, we could talk about Bridget Everett all day.
Are we recording?
I will talk about Bridget Everett all day long. This should be part of it. Talk about the ultimate bitch.
I mean, she is top bitch.
Yeah.
Oh man. And yeah, she goes topless a lot in her shows. And
yes,
we saw a nipple.
Beaver tails.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had the beaver tails. Yeah. If she ever came to me during that song with the microphone, you got your business, and then you're supposed to chime in on the microphone. I was gonna always say, you got your B. Arthur titties.
Oh.
that was gonna be mine.
Oh
I never got chosen, but I have seen her beaver tails more than any other ladies. I've seen a lot of Bridget Everett breasts that I've seen. Yeah.
Good for you.
Her energy, I don't know how she maintains that energy throughout the entire show. She was jumping over seats and yeah.
A lot of white wine in a paper bag, I think.
Yes, it was so great.
That's a diet I can get behind.
Yeah, that's what we like. Thank you. Please and thank you.
Okay, and you're the producer, story editor. Is that how you want to be?
Right. Yeah. Yes. And came up with the idea so I can talk about like the inception.
Ooh, cool.
And why it exists and all that.
Yes.
And why
okay.
We all love Mark Maron.
All right, we'll get into that. Okay.
Can we call him Zaddy? No. Anyways, let's intro.
He is getting better with age. I never found him attractive until.
No, I have. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It was his birthday yesterday too, so he's
a Libra too. Oh,
continuing to get up there.
She loves Libras.
I'm a Libra lover. Okay. I don't.
Anyways,
what's happening?
We can talk about that too. We could definitely talk about that.
I mean, I don't know if we'll ever get to the film at this point, Julie. Okay. We've already started, so we may as well properly introduce the producer and story editor of the documentary Are We Good? Julie Seabaugh, welcome to Bitch Talk.
It's already been a wonderful time. It's my favorite podcast I've done so far, and we've barely started.
Oh, that was easy. You're an easy sell. Okay. Before we dive into everything else, can you please introduce our audience to this film?
Oh, yes. So the film, Are We Good? Is a documentary about the comedian and podcaster Mark Maron. We originally started the idea for it in 2020 after his partner, Lynn Shelton, passed away very suddenly at the beginning of the pandemic. And he didn't even know what it was. It was an undiagnosed form of leukemia. And he was dealing with this grief at a time when we were all very much alone and isolated. And it's just the story of following him through the next couple of years on this journey of turning grief into comedy in the best kind of art form I personally think there is for dealing with emotions. There's a lot more comedy fans these days who are being drawn to stories like this, where it's the full spectrum. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to see a lot of his cats. That is the documentary.
I mean, there's a whole audience for cats, right? We know that.
And cat daddies and
yes, you knew it going in. It's really more about cats than it is about Mark. Let's be honest.
The cats certainly had their own bucket from the beginning. That's not an exaggeration whatsoever.
Right. I do want to talk about the inception because you thought it was your idea, it sounds like. And just the relationship with Mark and having the trust to start where you start this film. It's heavy. It was a heavy time. I have been a fan of Mark's for a really long time, and I was watching what was going on with him and being in the pandemic, and I was a little bit scared for him, to be honest. So if you can open up about the timing and the trust with Mark and getting into it.
Yeah, you are exactly right about all of that, and especially with the trust description, I think. So I've been a journalist in the world of comedy for 22 years now, and had written about Mark in various, individual or group forms in like half a dozen different outlets, from Village Voice to LA Times more recently. And so we kind of had that working relationship. He was also in the first film I did, Too Soon, Comedy After 9/11, that I directed with Nick Scown. He played a large role, again with Air America and that stage of his career, and saw, how comedy changed at that time. So that was our relationship heading into this. And like you said, we were all watching him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Glued to it. He was the first one who was really using the Instagram live format at that time, which again, much like his WTF podcast, has been influenced in other areas, not just comedy, but everyone who's online. And first the Instagrams and the podcast were about, we're going into quarantine and there's not going to be any comedy shows, and Lynn's here and we're hunkering down and making food, and it suddenly changed.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff he then started putting out was dealing with Lynn's loss and his grief and not knowing at all what to do. And it was the most beautiful and raw and just heartbreaking stuff I'd ever seen a comedian putting out to the public. You don't typically see comedians having that as their content. And I just, this is something that someone needs to. I was going to make a story out of it, and as Too Soon was wrapping up, someone should document this. I should document this. I should document this. Because again, at this point, I know him well enough I can tell what kind of mood he's in by the pants he's wearing, for example.
If they're fitting even. No, I'm kidding.
And this was at the time he was even saying he was going to quit comedy. He's been applying to move to Canada. And I'm still thinking in the back of my mind, he's going to get back on stage and he's going to make the best material of his life out of this. So I kind of started putting the timeline together, rereading all his books, pulling the clips, already thinking about, story and where, we kind of see the progression of the person he's been in past forms to get to the person that fell in love with Lynn and who was changed by her. He still retains a lot of her with him, and that's something I definitely wanted to capture in the film. So I approached director Stephen Fine Arts after talking to a couple other people. He'd made the Bitter Buddha documentary that Mark was in, and they had kind of a contentious relationship. And so I knew that Mark would yell at him through the camera. That was no accident. It's another one of those. I knew him well enough to know this would be a good way of revealing certain things about him through this filter. And yeah, we kind of reached out to him in late 2020 via email, and we had a Zoom, and he was completely non-committal. And we had another one in early spring the following year, still non-committal. And then when the venues reopened around LA in May 21, including the Comedy Store, his home club, it was open for about a week, and he was still threatening to quit comedy until he said on Instagram, "I'm going up tonight. I'm jealous of everyone. I'm doing it. We're doing it." So I told Stephen Fine Arts to bring a camera to the Comedy Store that night, and we told him, "Hey, this is happening now, right?" "Yeah, we're doing it." And we did it, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, and it took about 3.5 years total of filming all around the country, and Canada, Just for Laughs, Montreal Comedy Festival. There was Austin at the Moon Tower Comedy Festival, New York Comedy Festival, and then all the clubs in between, from Denver to Seattle to Salt Lake City to Vegas, and his hometown in Albuquerque, dealing with his father's dementia and their new relationship. And I feel like I'm talking way too much and you don't need to see it anymore. But basically the plot of the movie. It's very much fly on the wall verite, pulls no punches, captures it all. It goes there. And we're very proud that it will finally be out. The fact that it intertwines with the ending of WTF is completely coincidental for Cringe, but it's a good business decision, I guess, on Maron's, because he's definitely entering a new phase of his life, his artistry, and we're all very excited to see what that next phase will be.
Those were some of my favorite scenes, were right before he goes on stage, just like his grumpiness or anxiety, the things he says right before he goes on to do his sets. It's so good. I wanted to talk about how this film, while it's centered on his grief after losing his partner, you go back to his past and sort of interweave how he ended up here and sort of everything in his life that prepared him for how he was going to react to the hardest moments in his life. So can you talk about digging deeper into his history and some sort of things that may have surprised you about what he went through?
Oh, gosh. I mean, like any good Maron fan, I feel like I knew the story pretty well. And obviously it's, guy born in Albuquerque, family, or technically born in Jersey, moved around a lot with his family. His father was a doctor, ended up in Albuquerque and kind of had a tumultuous go of everything. And personally, in the midst of all this, kind of realized he's probably autistic or ADHD. I'm someone who was discovering this about myself as well. I think that could be a large root of this, not covered in the film. But he was just someone who always had the need to express himself, felt a little out of place, didn't really know why, just differently wired, had a bunch of bad relationships with women, as he says in the doc, some their fault, some his fault, some we screwed up together. And, despite addiction issues and, possibly emotional / anger issues, has managed to become a comedic voice that a lot of us depend on in a lot of ways. And when he actually watched it, I think it was a couple weeks before South by Southwest, the first time he saw a cut of it was like the final week of February. I remember he actually wrote me an email that said, "I learned a lot about myself from watching this." It's like, but we all knew this. It was just putting it together in one place. So I think that was probably the biggest shocker really for me, that he hasn't actually believed this entire time that he's that successful and influential. It's like, dude, just look around, dude. We're, you know, he has podcast episodes now on historical record.
And he had the president in his garage. Like, how do you not think you're doing something?
Yeah, it's just a lesson of people don't necessarily perceive themselves as others do, and especially artists, you know, especially comedians. There's a reason why a lot of us are kind of drawn to comedy, you know, for whatever our various lives have thrown at us. But there's something about it that, you know, really, despite whatever our differences are, we're all listening to the same thing at the same time. And that's what gives me a lot of optimism. So, yeah, it was just kind of tracing that path with Mark and kind of showing to him, you know, like, no, we all agree on this. This is something that comedy agrees on. And you know, again, that path of using the tool that he has to really uniquely, really, you know, from his gut, use comedy to connect with others.
I really appreciate his honesty and just the way that he moves through the world. He may hate it, but I appreciate it. It's very truthful. So talking about the movie and talking about editing, so he wasn't a part of the editing process at all. Was he pretty hands off? Speaking of trust, or is there stuff of like he was like, I don't want you guys to use that. No, thank you.
No, it was more interior arguing about what was going to be in it or not, and he was extremely hands off for sure. There was a clause that was, if there is anything he's uncomfortable with when he sees it, it can be taken out, and that was not used. So, yeah, there were possibly a few more. Let's call them roasting moments from the interviewees that appear in the film.
Yes.
That he was like, do they have to be so mean to me? But other than that, yeah.
Is he talking about a cool dick? That one?
Oh no, there was some other, yeah. Maybe some earlier stuff from David Cross. But yeah, my favorite one of all those, though, I keep saying this in every interview because it's so wonderful, was the Caroline Rhea.
Oh my God, yes. But they kept making out. Yeah.
It's not in the film itself. Yeah, but it's in the end credits. So stay for the end credits.
Totally.
Yes, the end credits are so good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and she really captured it with the whole. At that time when I met him, he was repulsive, he was repugnant, he was terrible, and we couldn't stop making out in the back of a cab.
That is relatable. It really
totally.
like you get it. I totally get it.
We get it.
That is the hard hitting journalism we're here for. Yeah.
Well, I did want to dive into, as a comedy journalist for over a decade, I'd love to hear just your experience and what you think of the comedy scene now, and people who say, oh, comedy's too woke and bullshit like that.
Yes, I have a lot of thoughts on comedy, as you may have guessed. I guess I got into it from seeing Dave Attell as a senior at the University of Missouri, where I studied journalism. I originally grew up on a farm in Missouri, read all the books, got all the magazines. I was more into writing about film and music at that time. And then Dave Attell came, and this was at the height of Insomniac on Comedy Central. And I got to interview him over the phone for Vox magazine, our little alt weekly that the journalism students ran. And then we all went backstage, and then we took him to the little journalism bar across the street, and he got us all really drunk on Jägermeister.
Ooh.
Yes. Those were the times. Yes.
Yes. It was an era. And I woke up on my friend Dan's bathroom floor the next morning, Like, I like comedy. There's something funny.
This is the life for me.
I love this origin story. I love it.
And like film and music obviously had large journalism worlds built around them, but comedy was always thrown in with like the calendar listings or music events. And no one was writing about it as a serious art form where it specifically spoke about the artistry of it and the individualism and the perspectives and the fact that, like I've been saying this whole time, it can really be used to, transform your emotions and help us all connect. And so I moved to New York immediately after I graduated and hung out at the Comedy Cellar and bugged everyone for 22 years now, I guess, of writing. There's it's been freelance, more project based. I've never really had to do pieces or projects I didn't want to. Yeah, I just kind of seen myself as a professional fan, just saying, here's why I like this person, or here's my thoughts on this, and just trying to share that because I do think it is the best art form there is. And recently, in the past 5 years or so, 10 years at this point, 10 years ago, I started working more in the world of documentaries, and I've done a couple books. There's a couple more coming out down the line. So just all still talking about comedy, just in different forms, different formats that are maybe a little I can tell better stories than I can in the state of journalism these days. Let's phrase it like that. Journalism is a little weird at the moment. And like you said, there's certainly some divides, not only in the country, but you see them reflected a lot in comedy.
Yeah.
And comedy is increasingly shaping the political side of things as well. So
for good and for bad.
Yeah. I do have a project in mind on the lit in comedy. Don't steal it.
We won't.
But yeah, it's something I want to dive into more. It's endlessly fascinating, but I'm going to still retain my viewpoint of the fact that it's so subjective. You can't really tell anyone what they can or cannot laugh on based on all of our different life experiences. So I do still try to hold hope that comedy can kind of bring us together. We'll see how that plays out. Might be a little naive. We'll check in on another podcast of that soon.
No, Ange and I just we love going to comedy. Like, I don't think we go to comedy shows enough. I would love to probably go nightly just to hang out and watch.
Yeah.
I have a dream of at least trying to write a type 5 at some point. I've been saying that for like 10 years and I just haven't, but it's so smart. Comedy is like, we've been saying it for a long time, just kind of the smartest, some, not all, some are like the smartest people in the room. For your comedians. But we just saw Janine Garofalo, which we haven't even talked about on the show.
Oh my God, that's
Remember,
right.
Ange? Hello.
Janine Garofalo.
So I have to bring this up since we're talking about comedy.
Yes.
We grew up with Janine. Like, she is
90s.
Yes.
Yeah, the 90s queen. Yes.
90s bitch, right? Like,
she was in this film Too Soon comedy.
I'm watching that.
She was a hero of it. She's amazing. And she's very tiny.
Yes, she is. Oh my God.
I was crying laughing. She sold out Cobb's, I think 2 nights in a row here in the city. I'm so happy because it's one of those things too where you're like, if you talk about Janine Garofalo, either people know her or they don't. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, the people that don't know her, what the fuck? What were you doing in the 90s? She sold it out and she was hysterical. And can you talk about her comedy a little bit? Have you interviewed her? Do you know anything about the way that she does her comedy? It's like just a train of thought.
It sounds like she's just saying whatever's on her mind, but obviously she plans it. But it's just, she's like, and then this, and then that, but it all makes sense somehow.
Well, I mean, again, like when we're talking about this art form where you have these very unique voices, like this is the Janine Garofalo style, and she, it's also, parallel to kind of the Mark Maron story in alternative comedy of like, this was not what comedy was at the time. It was way more generic and interchangeable. And this was, like you said, seeing her in all the films and everything. But her comedy is very much like, I shouldn't even use this word because it is sort of not what you want to say about small women, but like feisty in the way that like, yeah, she's someone who has been through everything.
Yes.
Everything, literally. And is still going to, be very honest about all of it. And we're connecting to it right now. That's the beauty of stand-up comedy. So yeah, and interviewing with her was fantastic for Too Soon. I have a picture of her. We're both holding a giant, like they were cleaning up the popcorn at the end of the night at Dynasty Typewriter, and we took like a giant garbage bag of popcorn away with us.
No, it just the thing of like uniting people and laughing. We had people in front of us after the show turn around. They're like, "We loved hearing you laugh." And we're like, "Well, she was funny. She was." I didn't know what to expect.
No, we had no idea. Yeah.
And hearing all these folks, all maybe our age, maybe not, just it was nice to be in that room and to see her shine.
Oh yeah, I could definitely talk about her. Again, all comedy. I'll talk about comedy all day if someone likes me. But yeah, I was also, you said you wanted to have like a type 5. I've never done comedy myself.
You want to?
Except for at my 40th birthday roast in the belly room of the Comedy Store.
Yes.
Jeff Ross was there, Dave Attell.
Wow.
Brad Williams, a bunch of people. And I did end up doing the rebuttal at the end. You have to give a rebuttal for your roast. I did write however many minutes that was, and it was ridiculous stuff like, we're in the belly room, home of Jeff Ross presents roast battle, and Jeff Ross presents historical roast. When's Jeff Ross going to present his own damn material again?
Right.
That was one of them. And when I have sex dreams about Dave Attell, I wake up covered in hummus. That's why I'm not a comedian.
Oh no, I like
that's a keeper.
My one and only comedy performance at my 40th birthday.
Well, okay, that was a good
one.
And
it's all downhill from there.
No, Julie, you yourself are also you broke the glass ceiling too for being one of the first people to properly recognize this art form. And we being in the comedy world, I can imagine the things that you've seen and lived through.
Oh, yeah. How was your liver, by the way?
Yeah. It started with Jaeger and then.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, for sure. I was definitely mostly drunk all the time when I lived in New York. Now that I'm in LA, I'm more California sober.
Oh,
these years. So
wine in the daytime.
Yeah, daytime wine.
More a little. I'll do maybe a beer at shows every now and then. It's just more weed,
Yeah.
Good for you.
But this is California. We all got addicted to weed during pandemic, didn't we? Is that just me? Is that just comedy?
I mean, there was a bunch of different addictions, but yeah.
That's one of the healthier ones for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's a big business in comedy too. There's so many shows sponsored by it. And
that's true.
There's tons at the Comedy Store all the time, and you get little goodie bags. So I'm not complaining.
And neither are we about this documentary because we needed it. We're still trying to answer the question, are we good?
I don't know.
That's TBD.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Julie. This has been really, really fun. I hope we get to hang out sometime in person. Thank you for your work.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Again, like I said, I'll talk about comedy until someone makes me shut up. So anytime we can, for sure, even off Zoom, we'll make it happen.
Sweet. We'll get California sober together one day.
Thanks for joining us on today's show. You can find more information about this episode in our show notes.
If you're missing us, you can visit us at bitchtalkpodcast.com to sign up for our newsletter and buy us a cup of coffee.
Did you know we're also on the radio? You can find us at bff.fm.
And lastly, rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. All the cool bitches are doing it.